Hello everyone and welcome back to Velvet Moments, a place where the smallest details turn into the biggest stories, and where even the quietest interactions can carry emotions that linger far longer than the moment itself. There is something almost poetic about life on tour. From the outside, everything looks grand. Towering stages, waves of light stretching across the crowd, and music that feels powerful enough to shake the ground beneath your feet. But behind all of that, beyond the spotlight and the carefully orchestrated performances, there exists another world. A quieter one. A softer one. A world made up of fleeting glances, half-finished conversations, and gestures so small they almost disappear the moment they happen. And yet, those are the moments that stay. Recently, a brief scene began to circulate again. At first glance, it feels ordinary, so ordinary that it would be easy to overlook. But as always, there's something about it that invites you to pause, to look closer, to feel a little more than what is immediately visible. It begins in motion. The atmosphere is busy, filled with the quiet urgency that always surrounds a soundcheck. Staff members move quickly, adjusting details, checking cues, preparing everything for what will soon become a flawless performance. The space feels alive yet controlled, like a breath being held before the music finally begins. Amidst all of this, Park Jimin and Jeon Jungkook step into the frame. There's nothing unusual about it. They've walked into spaces like this countless times before. And yet, something about the way they move, close, unforced, almost instinctively aligned, creates a feeling that's difficult to put into words. Jungkook walks slightly ahead, his posture relaxed, his steps steady. There's a quiet focus in the way he carries himself, as if part of his mind is already drifting toward the stage, toward the performance that lies ahead. And then there's Jimin. Not far. Never far. He moves with a softness that contrasts the busy environment around them. Not in a way that draws attention, but in a way that feels intentional, even if it isn't consciously so. Like someone following a rhythm only they can hear. For a moment nothing happens. And then, something does. Jimin lifts his hand just slightly. There's no build-up, no dramatic pause. Just a simple, fleeting motion. A kiss gesture, light and almost playful, directed toward Jungkook. It lasts less than a second. But somehow it feels longer. Because in that second something shifts. Not outwardly. Not in a way that demands attention from everyone around them. But in a quieter, more subtle way. Something that can only really be felt if you're looking closely. Jungkook doesn't react dramatically. There's no exaggerated expression, no sudden stop. But there is a change. A small one. The kind that lives in details. The way his shoulders ease just a fraction, the way his focus seems to flicker, even if only briefly. It's the kind of reaction that doesn't need to be obvious to be meaningful. And maybe that's what makes it so compelling. Because it doesn't try to be seen. It just exists. Moments later, another layer unfolds. This time, Seokjin appears beside Jungkook. They begin to talk as they walk into the soundcheck area. Their conversation easy, natural, like something that has happened 1,000 times before. From the outside, it looks like a completely separate moment. Maybe it is. But there's still something lingering in the air, something left behind by that earlier gesture. A softness that hasn't quite faded. A quiet warmth that seems to follow even as the scene shifts. Makes you wonder, what do they talk about in moments like these? Are they discussing the performance? Going over details, cues, timing? Or is it something lighter? Shared jokes, random thoughts, the kind of conversations that fill the spaces between more serious moments? And more importantly, what happens to the emotions carried in those in-between seconds? Because sometimes a single gesture, no matter how small, can leave a trace that lingers far beyond its duration. What makes this moment even more intriguing is its uncertainty. There is no clear timeline. No definitive sequence of events. Did the kiss gesture happen before the conversation with Jeon? After? Or somewhere in between, slipping quietly into the flow of everything else? No one can say for sure. But perhaps that uncertainty is what gives the moment its depth. Because it allows it to exist in multiple ways at once. For some, it's a playful expression of closeness. Light-hearted, spontaneous, part of a dynamic that has always felt natural between them. For others, it carries a deeper emotional tone, something quieter, more intimate, woven into the fabric of their shared history. And then there are those who simply watch and feel, without needing to define it, without needing to explain it, just letting the moment be what it is. And maybe that's the most honest way to experience something like this. Because not everything needs to be turned into a conclusion. Some things are meant to remain open, soft at the edges, undefined but deeply felt. If you look closely, what stands out isn't just the gesture itself, but the ease of it. The lack of hesitation. The absence of self-consciousness. It happens the way breathing happens, naturally, without thought, without effort. And that kind of ease is rare. Especially in a world where every movement is watched, every interaction analyzed, every detail magnified. Yet here, in the middle of all that noise, something quiet manages to exist. Something simple. Something real. It's a reminder that beyond the stage, beyond the expectations and the perfection, there are still moments of genuine connection. Small, unguarded, and beautifully human. Moments that don't ask to be understood, only felt. And maybe that's why people keep returning to scenes like this. Not to find answers, but to feel that same quiet emotion again. To sit with it. To let it unfold differently each time. Because in the end, it's not really about what exactly happened. It's about what stayed with you after it was over. That soft shift in the atmosphere. That fleeting gesture that somehow felt significant. That unspoken understanding that doesn't need words to exist. So maybe the question isn't just what happened in that moment. Maybe the real question is, why did it feel the way it did? And the answer to that might be different for everyone. If you have your own thoughts about this moment, feel free to share them in the comments. Sometimes, the most meaningful stories are the ones we build together, through different perspectives, different emotions, and different ways of seeing the same scene. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next story here on Velvet Moments. See you in the next video. Purple Heart.